the pronunciation. You can stop and start it again if you want to. Oh, can you change the title? Okay. The Kagi pronunciation is expletive, and the Merriam-Webster is expletive. Now I'm confused. Let's see. Hold on. U.S. Oh, this shit don't work. Okay, never mind. Speaking of ads popping up, don't go to Cambridge Dictionary because that shit sucks. Oh God, this is technology. Why did we do this? Okay, let's break.
Oh, it's expletive is British, expletive is American.
Oh, I definitely don't want to be associated with these damn Brits. Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sort of like aluminum and aluminium. Although technically aluminum and aluminium are two different words. But that's like the rare one where the difference is actually because there's missing letters. Like
missing letters.
Yeah, like aluminum and
no,
aluminium.
It's just funny the way you say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the real word? Is it with the I or no?
It's with the extra I.
Aluminum. Aluminium.
Yeah, the element is aluminium. But the I think it was something with like when we came up with aluminum foil, like the extra I got dropped. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because literally all of the other elements in its area are eums, right? So
yeah, in general, a lot of it's like the way most things like helium or oxygen's a gen, but yeah, there's a lot of them that aren't in the eum. So yeah, it's like aluminium.
Gallium, yeah.
But because we Americans are just like, well, we only want to pronounce it one way. It's all aluminum across the board.
Helium, aluminium. Interesting. Anyway.
Hello, viewer / listener. Welcome to Break. This is Break for episode 50 of Fallthrough. 50 episodes. Quite the milestone right there. And Matt and I were just talking about how mid everything is in tech and the world. And now Matt wants to swear some more. So we're over here where we can swear some more.
Oh, no, I shouldn't be swearing at all. I shouldn't be swearing at all. But I also don't want to give you editing work on the,
I mean, you swore a few times. I'm like, oh, God, pull that dang.
I know. I'm sorry. Every time I say it, I in my mind, I'm like, Kris has to edit this. And then I do it again. And then
dang it. Yeah.
Here I am. You can't take me anywhere.
Can't take you anywhere. No.
No, I mean, I guess I wanted to switch gears about the mediocrity thing and focus more on like, I don't know, kind of the people aspect of it. Because oh man, I'm going to get canceled. It's fine. It's fine. Eva, is it okay to get canceled? It's fine, I guess. The mediocrity is really frustrating, and I'm really, really tired of seeing mediocre people get hired and succeed when I know people that can run circles around them get kind of shit on, so to speak. And we just it happens again. And granted, both sides have things they are doing or could be doing to change the status quo there, right? 'Cause some people that I do know that are really good just don't really advocate for themselves versus the mediocre person over advocates for themselves and blah. Like, so there's obviously nuance there, which we can't fully unpack because every situation is different. But it really just frustrates me when I see really good people that are passionate about something not working on the things or doing the things they would otherwise be really good at. And instead, in their place is some jackass that doesn't know anything, that just happened to get there because they knew someone or because they're a means to the end, right? Like, oh, we hired you because you have a relationship with someone else and we want to get into that account. Or, oh, we hired you because you have access to this mailing list and we don't have that. Like, you know what I mean? When something like that is used, it really just gets me. So that's basically what I wanted to say, or at least start the conversation off with.
Yeah, I mean,
that's life.
I mean, that's like the life of people of color in general. It's just like, wow, some white person comes by and just does a worse job and gets all the credit for things. That is kind of the history of America as a country. Like Hidden Figures, that
Really good
movie
movie.
had a lot of accuracies in it as far as like how things were for a very long time. And it shows up in a lot of the ways that things like a lot of the stuff that's been happening in the world right now is like an outcrop of us just never really dealing with that history and never really understanding like when is the time to stand up. Like I don't think I said this in the main episode, but it's one of the things I was thinking about of like people can look back and they can look at something like slavery and they can say, wow, that was terrible, that was egregious, people should have stood up. And I think people think like I would have been someone that would have stood up. And then I look at them in the modern day and I'm like, well, where are you standing up? Like, where are you putting your comfort on the line to stand up for something, to push back on something? Like, where are you? Right. And that's like, that was part of my frustration with all of the, oh, we have to get rid of master slave and whitelist and blacklist because bad. And I'm like, well, where are you standing up for black people when it actually matters? Because like master and slave is not where it matters. It matters when, you know, black people aren't getting jobs or they're not getting position of power or they're getting, you know, shit upon in like forums and stuff like that. Like, where are you putting your own privilege on the line? Where are you using your privilege as power to help somebody who has less of a voice? Right. And like a lot of the people, they go silent because like that's hard, that's uncomfortable. They want to do the whole thing with the changing of the words was to resolve their own discomfort with those words being heavily used. But also through words being used is how we actually can either reclaim them or lessen the harm they do. So there's like a double edge to it. By like banning those words, you give them more power.
Yep.
And it's like we keep doing this. We keep doing it as an industry. Like then it is absurd to me the number of times that we just loft some like white dude up into a position of power, and then that white dude does an extremely mid job. And then everybody turns around when we finally get that person out the door. It's like, what a great job they did. And it's just like, but they didn't do a good job. They did the bare minimum. They did maybe a decent job. But like, why are we praising all these people? Why are we keeping up with this whole illusion that they did some amazing, fantastic thing when they just really didn't? And it's like, we just do that over and over and over again.
I see it all the time. I see it all the time on LinkedIn too, where you just see people getting praised and high-fiving and self-high-fiving one another. It's frustrating. And then you know, it's even worse when you know these people and you're like, you didn't actually do that. I don't know what you're talking about. You actually didn't do that. I watched you. You didn't do this. And like, but then you call it out and then you're the asshole, right? And then you get everyone kind of ganging up against you. But you kind of have to call it out because this is not okay. It's not okay to let this sort of mediocrity flourish. And I'm not, it's interesting too, because I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, all white people, they're bad. Let's get rid of them. Because like there are good white people. I'm just sitting here saying like, just get better at certain things. Don't just rely on your privilege and your stature to get you into these different places in life. Actually hone your skills and learn. Like all of us do. Because I have no problem like losing out to someone regardless of where they come from or whatever, if they truly are better and deserve it. You know what I mean? Like I have no problem with that. I do have a problem though when someone gets a position because of popularity or because they know someone or whatever, and they actually aren't good for the role. And now they're a waste of salary cap and whatever. And then they leave after 6 months. Like I have a huge problem with that because that hurts so many people. Versus, oh, you said no to like the hungry like woman over there who really, really liked this industry in this field, but you thought she was too like, you know, inexperienced. You said no to her, but she would have done a much better job than this person. And like now, look what you've done. You've set us back 6 months. Like, come on. And we do that again and again and again. And I'm annoyed with it. I hold myself to a pretty high bar and I ask people to like tell me, like just give it to me straight. Does this suck or not? You know, like I don't sugarcoat it. Just tell me, because if I suck at my job and I'm not helping you or doing good work for you or with you, that's hurting you. So you just need to tell me like, Matt, like, no, this sucks. Go do better. You know what I mean? Like just talk to me. And Not in the way of like, obviously you could be kind to one another, but I really, really like it when people tell me like, no, Matt, I really hate this approach to this problem. Here's why.
Yeah.
Because to me, letting it go because you're afraid to talk about it or afraid to call it out is worse than stopping it right then and there and be like, wait, before you take another step, this is wrong. Here's why.
Yeah.
And we're just afraid to do that. We're afraid to do that in code review. We're afraid to do that in hiring. We're afraid to do that across the board. And then we wake up 1, 2, 3, 4 years later in the future, and the company that we're at or wherever we're at is completely different than what we expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've been trying to call this out as I see it without being mean. But sometimes I do feel like I am being mean because it's so weird when you are the only one calling something out. And then it's reassuring when you get like, this happened a ton at HashiCorp. I'd call something out and then I'm the one in trouble. But then I get many DMs from people. Thank you for saying this and doing that. And I'm just like, fine, but you should have said something too. You know what I mean? Like you should you agree with me, but you're not taking the risk that I'm taking. You're not putting your like your raise out there or your career progression out there. You're just waiting for someone else to do it. So you're part of the problem actually. Yeah. See, this topic, I don't know. Maybe today was not the good day to talk about it.
Or today was the perfect day to talk about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, there's just like so many. But the thing about mediocrity is that it's really hard to get rid of once it's dug itself into your organization, right? Like once mediocrity is widespread, it's like it metastasizes into the rest of the organization. Just kind of keeps spreading out further and further. And every time you try to stomp it out, it just kind of like reacts and comes back at you, which is, I think, like kind of the cycle that a lot of the big tech companies are stuck in, where it's just like there is a lot of mediocrity and they don't want to admit it because admitting the reality of it. It's like if you're hiring tens of thousands of people, most of those people are going to be mediocre. Like that's just how life works. You're not going to even have the ability to hire the best all of the time if you're hiring at scale. That's just not going to happen. But like no one wants to really admit that. People still want to pretend as if the big tech companies do the best engineering in the world when that hasn't been true. I mean, it was never true, but it's certainly not true now. And it's like we should all be really focused on like how do we actually do good engineering. And it turns out that I think doing a lot of good engineering is like you got to keep stuff small. Like there isn't really a reason why we need to have a few big conglomerate tech companies. We could just have a whole bunch of small tech companies. Like that would be fine. We would operate fine as an industry if that was how we did things. And we'd waste a whole lot less energy and it'd be a lot less stressful for people. And people probably have much better work-life balance. I mean, we didn't have as many perks, but like, do we really want those perks? I don't think most people want those perks. I think most people just want to work from home and have their friends and family and a life that is separate from their job.
It's interesting too, because again, when you apply this sort of thinking to other parts of life, you don't just send everybody to the Olympics, right? You have to qualify people and make sure you're sending the best to the Olympics. Imagine if we sent every one of our runners to the Olympics to compete in the various different, 100-meter dashes, whatever, all the various different running events there are. We don't do that. We filter for our very best and we send them. We keep it small. And it's the same thing with like, pick your analogy. Do the military analogy if you want, right? We don't, we send the Navy SEALs for very specialized, high critical missions, not the generic army or whatever, right? And I think I don't know which branch the Navy SEALs fall under, so the analogy might not be perfect, but whatever.
Navy?
No, is it? I thought it was the Marines. Really? Is it actually? No, like I'm legitimately asking. I thought the Navy SEALs, although it was named Navy,
also under the Navy. So like,
okay, so yeah. See, my military thing is not good, which is funny because
they're the Navy SEALs. It'd be weird if they weren't under the Navy.
I really thought they were not. I thought they were like a Marines unit, but now, yeah, looking at this, I'm stupid.
Yeah, I guess it stands for the United States Navy Sea, Air, and Land Teams. Oh, it's one of those acronyms that uses "and" as one of the letters. Okay.
Either way, but like, you know, point I'm trying to make, I obviously my military information is horrible. But you don't send just everybody, or you narrow down the team, you keep it lean, and that's how you get high quality standards, because it's very, very difficult to enforce standards for a large number of people. And I think I said this before in an episode, like, just because you move to LA doesn't mean you get to be an actor in like high profile movies. There's a very small pool of talent that can actually land those things. And yes, some of it is unfair because of relationships, but the smaller you get, the higher the bar usually is. And we just kind of don't do that in the tech industry. Now I have the military organization chart open in my tab here.
Yeah, I think it's what the Green Berets for the Army, and what's the Air Force? I don't know what the Air Force Special Ops is.
I don't know either. I don't know. Yeah, there's too much here. So. Anyway, sorry, listener. This is why you don't listen to me. Just don't listen to what I say. Clearly,
I mean, yeah.
I really thought it was not. I thought it was one of those that was named the Navy SEALs, but not actually under where. Whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
People are like, Matt, you're an idiot. You're the mediocre one. Yeah, I guess I'm the problem.
The Army Night Stalkers? What the? Anyway, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh my god, that is so many special forces. This is
why I never use military like acronyms or analogies, because it always leads to something of like this, where I go down a rabbit hole of how does this actually work, and then it's just something I never wanted to know, and I still don't want to know this.
The Air Force doesn't have a special name; they're just like special tactics teams.
God.
It's not like the SEALs or the Green Berets or the Night Stalkers. I still can't believe that's.
Yeah, these are bad. The Navy SEALs is like the only cool name, I think. That's probably because the marketing around it has been.
I mean,
cool.
Also, it was just like a great name, like SEALs, because SEALs are in the water. Like, come on, it's just like,
yeah.
Green Berets. It's like, okay, we get it. You wear a green beret, like. Although I want to know what the Night Stalkers do, because that's just
yeah, I don't know any of this.
Anyway, in general, also following the military, like we have, I think people that are civilians have a much more lofty ideal of what the military is like and what the armed forces are like than what they like actually are. But there are some like legit brand, like the Army Corps of Engineers is like amazing in what they do, but there's also just like, I mean, once again, the United States Department of Defense is one of the largest departments, and they don't know what any of their shit is. So like they lose stuff constantly. They've never passed an audit in their entire existence because they just have too much stuff, and every time we try to audit them, it's just like, yeah, where's your stuff? And they're like, I don't know. So yeah, I mean. It's the equivalent of like, well, we probably have 10,000 of these, but we don't know where they are, so we just got to buy 10,000 more. Like that's literally what they do. So it's like when we look to the military as like this beacon of like good operational sanity, I'm just like that, but that's not. You're really you're having a fantasy about how organized and well run our military is. They are. It's not like they're bad, but they're probably not the ideal that we should be shooting for. Just saying. Also, your company is not an arm of the military, so you probably shouldn't use that as your model. In the same way that your company is also not a government, so you probably shouldn't use the government as a model for how to run your business. You should use, I don't know, something that makes sense for the size of your business. Probably not a dictatorship, though. Those don't tend to work well.
No, usually not. I mean, like the point holds true here that if you want to kind of maintain and fight against mediocrity, you do kind of have to operate lean.
Yeah.
You know, because context switching and sharing, it's much easier to align just a handful of people than it is align an entire organization. You know what I mean? And we kind of lose sight of that when we get to when the work comes in and customers are coming in and asks are happening and there's a lot of stuff to do. We kind of just things just fall and we get a little bit what do we do? We fall to rancor or whatever. What's the phrase? Everything falls to rancor. I don't know. But things get unorganized very quickly. And that's a huge problem. And that's where it's easy to say, you know what, let's just hire a bunch of mediocre people to fill the gaps.
Right.
And then those mediocre people stay and keep doing mediocre things. And like that's a huge problem versus the alternative is what? Say no to certain things and slow down a bit. And then now you have your investors yelling at you because you've slowed down and you should be delivering higher. And like there's a lot of tension there. But if you could balance it and stay lean, the long-term events, the long-term like repercussions are really good. Yeah. If you can do it. There's a reason why a company like IBM is looked at so negatively because they're just a huge behemoth that like is just slow to move and do anything.
Yeah. Or Dell.
Versus, yeah, exactly. Or Dell versus companies that are smaller are looked at so positively because they're focused and they're not accepting, mediocrity, at least as much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I think given the conversation I was having with my colleagues about AI, it helps us stay lean, right?
Yeah.
If you give AI tooling to someone who is not mediocre and actually is a high performer otherwise, you can stay leaner longer.
Yeah.
You can. Like you just it's just simple.
If you give AI to people, if you give these LLMs or digital librarians, I've been starting to call them, these coding assistants, coding agents, it's like you're giving people a team of what we would traditionally call like a junior engineer. Like you have a whole bunch of junior engineers now. Like you have people that you can just dispatch work to do. Except it's even better because because they're much faster than any really engineer is going to be at like typing out code and stuff like that. But they also have access to like the world's knowledge. So like you can actually, they're like very effective things, but they do need a heavy amount of guidance. But with that, like things that would not have been able to get done before can now get done because you can just have someone dispatch to one of these tools instead of having to sit down and write the code themselves.
That's kind of where I've been at because I'm also one of these people that is very much allergic to hiring just for the sake of hiring. So like I don't like mediocrity. I don't enjoy it. I hold people like if people are around me and working with me, they know I hold people to high standards. Not impossible standards, just like, let's put out good work. Let's make sure that we're doing good things. And that's partially because I enjoy doing good work and making sure things are done in a way that someone's going to look at this and be like, yeah, someone who cared worked on this.
Right.
But in the age of AI, like I asked it, I was talking with an AMP thread or whatever, and I was like, hey man, compare and contrast. Like I'm writing a Go SDK for Oxide, which is a cloud provider. I need to understand different error handling things. I want to improve error handling. How do like the major cloud providers do error handling in their SDKs? And what about any other Go SDKs that are popular? How do they do error handling? And it spit out things about Amazon, Azure, and GCP, how they do error handling. And it gave me some incorrect information. Mm-hmm. And then I guided it back. And I was like, hey, that's actually wrong. Like I looked at what you sent me and this shit is wrong, dude. And I guided it back. And like, had I not had experience and knew things and was like more of an expert in my field, I wouldn't be able to guide it back. Right? Or at least not as quickly. And then also, even me being an expert in my field, if I wanted to go myself and go read AWS, GCP, Azure, whatever, Go SDK documentation, it would take me longer than to just ask the AI thread.
Right.
So like, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't I want to use AI as a experienced engineer?
Yeah.
Right. Because I could either tell it where it's silly and guide it back, or I can save time because it's faster than me.
Right.
So like, what's the problem? And now I can stay leaner as because of it, right? I don't have to like hire as quickly for my team because we have the capability to do more, and not hiring means we have more runway, and more runway means lower risk of layoffs. Like, it's just, there's a lot of good positives there.
Yeah. No, it's incredibly useful. It's like, you know, why would you go to the library and not use a, you know, reference desk librarian? Like, if you're looking for something, you just ask them, they'll help you find it. And the same thing with like these LLMs. That's why I call them digital librarians. It's like, yeah, they have access to a vast amount of information. They won't be able to find everything perfectly. They might find things that are incorrect, but yeah, like, the job of the librarian isn't to write your research paper for you. It's to help you find the research so you can write your research paper. And that's the same thing with like these LLMs, with these digital librarians and coding assistants. It's like, it's not there to engineer the software for you. It's there to provide you all the things you need to engineer the software, including writing the code for you. But the code is not the software. The software is the software. The code is just a representation of that software.
I think that's the key. Like that really is the key. And the librarian reference makes it really nice. You know, it's the same reason why you ask an associate in a store for help. Where can I find this fitting, right? Or this product? You're asking them because they have loaded the context already for where everything is in the store, and they can give it to you. Obviously, in today's world, generally items, when you look on a website, they give you the aisle that it's on. Like, fine. Yeah. But that's the same action. You're asking something for where this thing's located. You're asking for help. And you're not asking it to go buy the part for you and install the part for you. You're asking it for help in this one aspect of your journey of using this thing. And it's the same thing in coding, where I think that whole mindset really reinforces the idea that coding isn't the value like that we provide as engineers, right?
Right.
The value is understanding the domain and mapping solutions to it. And then the coding is just implementation. And if AI LLMs can help you understand what to write and then even start the writing for it and get it going, that's just a nice bonus. You know what I mean? It's not replacing me. It's just aiding me. And I don't know. I'm okay with that. I think that's fine, with all the warnings and repercussions of companies using this in a bad way aside.
Right.
Yeah. I'm hopeful, I guess. I'm turning into you. I'm hopeful.
Hopeful for the future.
I don't know. Like, before I hopped on, I really was like, man, I was doing this little spiral of thought. Like, am I valuable? Right? Like, I really was asking myself this question. Like, am I, like, should they have hired somebody else at Oxide? Should they have not hired me and hired somebody else instead? And like, it really is easy to get in your own head about these things and then kind of go in a little death spiral there. But I walked away with, yeah, actually, I do bring a lot to the table. Maybe I'm not like writing a new, you know, operating system from scratch or whatever, but being able to like guide other people and LLMs to do things faster and more correct is a skill, right?
Yeah.
Because you've built up the context of knowing how these systems work together. And I don't know, I'm glad. I'm glad. I guess that's what I want to say.
I think that's a good place to end. Glad we successfully pulled you back from the staring into the abyss.
Yeah, I didn't jump. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm here. I didn't jump into the abyss. I don't have a tub of ice cream there that I'm going to eat. I'm okay.
You're okay. But yeah, viewer, listener, how'd you like that, I guess, extended bit of conversation from the episode? Are you feeling more hopeful too? I think we're both feeling a bit more hopeful. Still annoyed at how mid/mediocre this industry tends to be, but hopeful that we can fix that in the future, I think, for sure. So, as per usual, let us know your thoughts. Social media, go for Slack, in the changelog Zulip, or wherever you may find your friendly Fallthrough hosts. This episode of Break featured Kris Brandow and Matthew Sanabria. Break is a Fallthrough Media production. It's produced by Kris Brandow, and our beats are by Breakmaster Cylinder. Whew, there we go. Gotta remember the show we're doing.